That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Breaking tonight.
To go after the criminal gangs, to smash the gang networks.
To smash the smuggling gangs.
Smash the gangs.
To smash the gangs.
If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times, haven't you? Breaking news, the government has announced it will freeze the assets of anyone assisting migrant smugglers. I wonder if they got wind of 00 Patrick Christys' investigation. He's joining us again in just a moment, live in Calais. Plus,
I want to be absolutely clear at the start of this 6-week campaign that Reform will be the toughest party on law and order and on crime that this country has ever seen.
yeah, 3 strikes and you're out. Reform UK announces its criminal justice reforms and they're not messing around. And
been really clear in our manifesto about the taxes that we won't increase, and we're not going to increase the taxes that working people pay, their income tax, their national insurance and their VAT.
Are tourists working people? Well, Angela Rayner is demanding a tourism tax from Rachel Reeves, as if hospitality firms haven't had enough to fork out. All that and more. And joining me this evening is the former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, and GB News contributor and comedian Leo Kearse. Before we get started, let's get your news with Mark White.
Hello there, the latest headlines from the GB News Centre. As we just heard from Alex there, the government has announced tonight that gang leaders, corrupt police officers and those selling small boat equipment for channel crossings face having their assets frozen and a travel ban in efforts to curb the people smuggling trade. The government will introduce a raft of sanctions this week, targeting anyone involved in assisting illegal immigration to the UK. The first wave of sanctions comes into force on Wednesday and will publicly name anyone sanctioned and make it illegal for UK businesses and banks to deal with them. It follows legislation being introduced under the Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill to ramp up enforcement powers to investigate and prosecute people smugglers. Meanwhile, an Albanian people smuggler has been jailed for attempting to illegally transport fellow Albanians across the English Channel. 44-year-old Bleda Bega was jailed for 7 years after he orchestrated the smuggling operation. He'd skippered a luxury yacht across the Channel when it was intercepted by Border Force in April. As officers searched the yacht, they found 20 Albanian men and 1 woman crammed below deck. Emergency services in Manchester declared a major incident earlier after 15 people were injured when a double-decker bus struck a bridge. More than a dozen ambulances and other emergency service vehicles, as well as an air ambulance, converged on the scene in the Eccles area of the city. Images show the double-decker with its roof sheared off after striking the bridge. The North West Ambulance Service said it treated 15 patients. 3 of the victims suffered serious injuries, with 1 reported to be in a critical condition. A man accused of attacking a police officer during an altercation at Manchester Airport says it wasn't his intention to strike the officer. Mohammed Ahmad was giving evidence at Liverpool Crown Court. Mr Ahmad and his brother Mohammed Fahir Amaz are on trial accused of assaulting 3 Greater Manchester police officers as they attempted to arrest them in July last year. Both men from Rochdale deny allegations of assault. The Foreign Secretary has accused the Israeli government of tarnishing the reputation of Israel by continually ignoring calls to end the war in Gaza. David Lammy spoke in the wake of claims at least 93 Palestinians were killed while queuing for food on Sunday. The UN World Food Programme has alleged its convoy came under fire from the IDF. The Israeli military has denied firing on civilians. Mr Lammy also announced an additional £40 million in humanitarian assistance for Gaza. That's it. You're right up to date with the latest headlines. Now it's time for Late Edition.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to a very special edition of Patrick Christys Tonight, a late edition with me, Alex Armstrong. Let's get straight to Tuesday's front pages first. Metro are leading with the Lionesses there. Come on, England splashed across the front pages there. The Eye, they're going with rise in state pension age beyond 68 is inevitable. Warns Farage. You would have thought Farage would be on the front page of the Eye. There we go. Independent. Retirement age at risk in tsunami of pensioner poverty. The Mirror. End this horror now. This is referring to that UK condemning those so-called aid attacks in Gaza. The Daily Express leading with Farage there. 3 strikes and it's life in jail. That is the news, of course, of Farage's major policy announcement today on law and order. The Guardian. Israel launches offensive on Gaza aid hub amid fears over starvation. Telegraph. Rayner demands tax on tourists. We're going to dig into this a little bit later because this is another split in the Labour Party right at the top, isn't it? And the Daily Mail. Britain is facing societal collapse, warns Nigel Farage. It seems he's done pretty well getting the headlines today, doesn't it? The Times, patients at risk during walkouts, warns BMA. The Sun, Woke's the story. We'll have a quick look at that shortly too. Right, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel, former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, and GB News contributor and comedian Leo Kearse. But before we get into more of those headlines, some news that just broke moments ago. Gang leaders, corrupt police officials and companies selling small boat equipment for channel crossings could face having their assets frozen and being banned from travel to the UK in efforts to curb the people smuggling trade. The Foreign Secretary announced on Tuesday, tomorrow I should say, a raft of sanctions that will be introduced to target anyone involved in assisting illegal immigration to the UK. This ranges from those involved in supplying and financing small boats, fake passports and middlemen putting cash through the Hawala system, a legal money transfer system that is, which is also used in payments linked to channel crossings. The first wave of sanctions comes into force on Wednesday and will publicly name anyone sanctioned. So it means it will be illegal for UK businesses and banks, of course, to deal with those people. The measure is expected to include more than 20 designations and could include corrupt public officials and police officers in steps to tackle the multi-billion-dollar industry. Right, let's get the thoughts of this brilliant panel here. Benjamin, I'll start with you on this. Of course, just so happens that Patrick's out there today and the government are putting the story out to the press so they can get their hands on it. Smash the gangs is a phrase we've heard very often. We've seen some of that footage already tonight. Is it just a lost cause at this point? Do you think any of those men trying to, incentivise people to cross the channel are actually going to be deterred?
Well, I like the script because it's a raft of sanctions and sanctions on rafts. So, I think it's interesting because it's obviously the right thing to do. The question is whether it's the sufficient thing to do. Now, there's obviously a network of people that allow this to happen. These people don't operate in isolation or in a vacuum. I'm not convinced that the people selling dinghies are the reason it's crossing. They're going to find the boats somewhere. I think the problem is that what we've seen tonight in Patrick's amazing reporting is that the actual people who are doing it are going to find some way to do this regardless, and it's the people you have to go after. But I think freezing the assets of anybody that's involved would make a lot of people that maybe look the other way because they're getting a lot of money from this illegal human trafficking, it will make them think twice because the risk will be greater than the reward.
OK, Calvin Mackenzie.
Well, first of all, I am absolutely astonished that this isn't already illegal. I mean, I find it astonishing. Oh, corrupt policemen haven't been charged, really? Shouldn't we do something about this? So, look, I'm in favour of doing anything which can stop what's going on right now, which is leading to a huge political change in our country, making us feeling enormously uncomfortable about what the UK stands for or what our politicians can do about it. And so I'm in favour of that. But the problem is that, as you just said, none of this is going to affect people who are literally making, honestly, they're making like £200,000 per boat crossing, right? They're putting 70 or 80 people aboard it. So I wouldn't worry. And their assets. And the thing made me laugh most of all was the idea that we'd stop them coming to the UK. These people have no intention of coming to the UK.
We can't stop anyone coming from the UK, it seems to be, Kelvin.
Here, but they're not going to come here.
Big win for GB News, really, isn't it? I mean, it just so happens this story breaks the same like Patrick's in Calais. It's like the government might have caught wind.
Well, it's so ridiculous that they're pussyfooting around and tiptoeing around with these incredibly harsh punishments of, oh, if you do any of this illegal activity, you won't be allowed to come to the UK. I mean, they don't need permission. The whole point is they're illegal.
Exactly.
They're not going to be like, oh no, it's illegal now. Oh no, we can't do it. They're already breaking the law. It's like saying you're not going to be able to have a library card and you can't eat biscuits on a Tuesday. We need some stronger measures. I want the entire Labour front bench down on the beach tomorrow morning with the chain gun from Predator. I want them fire it over their heads. It'll do the trick, you know?
Yeah, I don't know whether the public want us to go that far. Maybe they do. Who knows? Benjamin, look, I think Leo is right, and I think Kelvin is right. This is just not going far enough, is it? We need to see some tough action. We need to see some consequences. Perhaps not for the people smugglers, but for also the people that are coming here.
Well, I think freezing the assets of people that are involved in this series of events. So a part where that would be really effective is when they get illegal jobs in the UK. So they get on the back of a bike, borrow someone else's account and are delivering your fast food within an hour of landing at Dover. Well, if that meant, for example, Just Eat or Deliveroo or any of them were found to be doing that, if they had their businesses frozen, I bet you there wouldn't be a damn illegal immigrant on those bikes within days.
And also a lot of the Deliveroo and Just Eat executives must be liable in some way, through tort law, through vicarious liability for any crimes that your supposed employees
why don't we actually put the pressure on the customer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why doesn't the customer say, you show me the papers before I accept that pizza?
There's one man who knows this a bit better than most of us on this panel. It's Patrick Christys. He's obviously a regular host of the show. Patrick's going to be joining us now. Patrick, just before you show us some more footage, what do you make of this breaking news from the government? It seems like you might have forced their hand, Patrick.
Well, it was interesting. I was listening I found out about that at the moment that you announced it. So there you go. I don't know whether or not maybe we can try to claim a win there. But I did also think the first thing that sprung to mind was it's all very well and good going after the bank accounts, but most people getting on the boats pay cash in hand. So I'm not really sure that that's going to work, to be honest with you. But anyway, hey, if they're doing something, it's better than nothing. But yeah, look, I'm just going to give you a little refresher anyway of a couple of the bits and bobs that we exposed today. I think the first thing I would like to say is, there have been numerous journalists in recent weeks, the BBC, for example, someone from The Times, have come over to where we went today, and they were very keen to try to say, oh, they're all lovely people, everything's fine. Well, they're not really, and I suppose if we play this clip now, we can understand that maybe they're not entirely the kind of person that we would want in Britain. So they make a bit of noise. All right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. So that's that. OK, well, yeah, we just had a glass bottle thrown at us, and I think it's probably best if we get out of here. But, of course, the main reason that we were here, and, I think we have managed to do it, was to try to highlight exactly who the human traffickers are. And I mean who, right? We want to get their faces on camera. We want to know who they are. We want to show the world who they are. We want to show the police who they are, because I think it is actually a lot easier than people say to smash the gangs. And here is one human trafficker we managed to find. I have never seen anything like this in my life. Wow. Hello, everybody. It's tense everywhere. This is going to sound awful to people who are just watching. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who's here, but the smell is absolutely overpowering. Yes, sorry, I think that might have been a clip of the last time I was at that Sudanese warehouse. However, this is, I think now, maybe a clip of a human trafficker.
My name is Patrick Christys. I do a show on GB News, and you are a human trafficker. We've got your face, we've got your details, we've got everything that we need to report you to the police.
OK, yes, so we've exposed quite a few things today, I think. So we got 3 different human traffickers on camera. We showed how easy it was. We also showed, I think, the scale of the problem as well. We've handed it all over to the police. And, yeah, look, I hope that maybe people have had their eyes opened a little bit to the reality of the situation, not least the government. So it turns out that maybe they've actually decided to do something about it as you were breaking the news. But, hey, look, I think I'm going to throw it back to you now. I think people have seen more than enough of me for one night. So take it away, Alex, and thank you for everything you've done back at base.
Pleasure's all ours, Patrick. Thank you for... well, we're happy to see that you're safe. Of course, many people wondering how safe you are. He is safe, thank God. Guys, you've seen some of this footage here, and I think Patrick's pointed out something really important, which is that the press are often telling us that actually all these people coming here are lovely, good people, and that they're doctors, nurses, engineers, Leo. No, the truth is that they're nothing like that, are they? Really? I mean, en masse, these people are looking for cheap work, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're coming here to make a grand a week tax-free, working for Deliveroo or working in the grey economy in the UK where you can earn cash in hand, and you know our feckless government just lets them get on with it. The government seems to be just intent on filling the country with as many bodies as possible, just to generate any slight stimulus of economic growth that it can.
Yeah, obviously, Calvin, we're going to talk about this more.
I have a friend who runs a restaurant.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, all right. I had a friend, actually, he moved. I had a friend who has a restaurant in Soho, and he says every single day people come to him and say, I will work 12 hours a day for, half your minimum pay. And my chum says, well, where are your papers? Right to work. And he says, oh, I haven't got any. And then they move on. I mean, it's just a regular part, and it happens every day he's open. He's open 350 days a year, right? So that is the reality, because he may be saying no, because he's been around a long time and he doesn't want the problem. But you can be sure that people are saying yes on a regular basis, on that basis.
Yeah, yesterday I had an Uber taxi driver and I said to him, how does it work that someone can loan their account to an illegal? And he said, well, as a taxi driver, I can't, because when I open my Uber app to start driving, it scans my face like it does when you open an iPhone. So he can't trick it. But then he said, if I were on a bike as an Uber Eats driver or Deliveroo or Just Eat, then it doesn't scan their face. They can just loan the account to someone else. So there is a prime example of where the technology exists for one part of these companies, but they don't do it the other parts. And you have to ask, why is that? Is it because it's commercially very convenient to look the other way?
Yeah, and you know what? And I think that's a really valid point. And I'm not accusing any business of doing this, by the way. But, you would, as a business, think, well, actually, I'm going to get a bunch of cheap labour, people who won't complain about the wages they're making versus the British people that will demand, good salaries, high standards. It's just like a race to the bottom.
I mean, Uber have changed their entire way that they employ people, and actually, fun enough, an Uber driver was complaining the other day that he's not making quite as much money.
Well, quite.
But actually, it's all regular and above board, and that wasn't the case 3 years ago.
OK.
And we should crack down on these guys, but it's up to the customer to actually put the pressure on as well.
And this is why the left used to be in favour of restricting immigration, because they didn't want to see wages undercut.
OK, thanks, gentlemen. We've got more to talk about on this, I'm sure of it. Coming up, though, I'll be debating all of this, all the stuff you've seen tonight, with a human rights lawyer. Plus,
I want to be absolutely clear at the start of this 6-week campaign that reform will be the toughest party on law and order and on crime that this country has ever seen.
Yes, more on that major announcement from Nigel Farage today. This is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. See you soon.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Front page of the Times today says exercise proves the best therapy for keeping cancer at bay. Let's get the views of Tim Vincent.
It's quite an exciting trial, this. There's new findings every single day, isn't there? But I think this has been done over many years by a lot of people. And it actually says, what you'd assume would be the case is that if you exercise, then it keeps your health in a better condition and will keep cancer from returning measurably, notably.
Yeah.
So I think it's 30-something%. And this is on people that have had cancer and then are encouraged to exercise. And there's many doctors over the years have said, not quite sure. If you feel like you can exercise, then exercise. They're now saying you should exercise as soon as you feel good enough.
This just
and this will make a big difference.
This makes me feel awful because I would have been pro-exercise, except I can't move. I'm in a wheelchair now, and I can't put on the right trainers, I can't change, I can't go to the showers, I can't do things. It's just I can't stand up. So there are a lot of people who are incapable of exercising, and therefore, rightly so, we see their increase of cancer growing.
Absolutely, and that's an issue that everybody's going to face, and you're obviously in a really difficult position. Any exercise, I think, is going to help, especially for these people that have had cancer once and can get out there. And it's very isolating as well, exercising.
So you're actually saying, if you're in redemption from cancer or whatever, you could keep it at bay by exercising.
It's actually better than a pill.
Yeah.
The results are actually better than a pill.
I think it's 36%, isn't it, for exercise?
Yeah.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Well, continuing on from the news about the measures the government have announced to tackle people smugglers. Just before the break, we broke that news. I'm now joined by human rights lawyer Shahab Khan. Thank you very much for joining me. Big announcement from the government today. I'm guessing they're hoping this is going to do something to smash the gangs. Well, we've, of course, had Patrick Christys out in Calais today looking at the smashing the gangs and seeing how it's going. And it's not going very well by the looks of things. But, Shahab, do you think this policy is really going to deter criminal masterminds that are running these people smuggling gangs?
Hi. I mean, in terms of, we're not surprised that it's not doing anything yet. Generally, the government, that's not really a surprise, is it? But even going further, considering this policy, I don't think so, to be honest. I mean, the first thing is I'm not sure how many of these gangs are actually based in the UK. The point is, obviously, this is a domestic law we're bringing in that, this is what we're going to be doing if we catch any of these gangs, really. But I'm not sure, how many of them are actually based in the UK, how many of them are within our jurisdiction, how effective is this policy on its own going to be to actually deter everyone? So, no, I'm not particularly hopeful, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think many people will welcome the news that the government's doing something. I mean, any deterrent is a good deterrent, if it even stops one people smuggler, I would say. Many people might even ask why this wasn't illegal in the first place, frankly. But look, a lot of the feeling across the country is that in order to actually smash this trade, rather than going after the gangs, you need to stop the customers coming. So surely we should be focusing on deterrents for illegal migrants coming to the UK, such as maybe deportations.
I mean, so obviously we do already have deportation, as this government keeps reminding us again and again. You know, the rate for removals and deportation is probably higher than it's been for a long time.
But we're still yet to see whether those are from the boats or whether those are people who have overstayed visas, for example. We'll find out the actual true data on that, but I understand what you're saying. Please continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, but no, I mean, I think that's the thing, that in terms of the customers and deterrence, the main thing is that obviously we talk about deterrence, we talk about how we can stop these people coming in. But I mean, you know, I'm not the only one who keeps saying this, and it's been said for decades. The important thing is that people, if they're not going to come in this way, where are they going to go? How are they going to get to safety? And that's the important thing. Like we keep saying, you know, safe legal routes. So that is basically the reason. And the government does know this, to be honest. And it just seems that it's, you know, clutching at straws, looking for alternatives, just looking for any measures it can take other than that one thing that even it knows would actually stop this flow.
Yeah, sure, but, you know, we talk about safety, but France is safe, Germany's safe, Italy's safe, Greece is safe. Many of them will come very, very long journeys to get to Calais, then to make an even more dangerous journey, which puts their safety at risk again to get to the UK. Surely the issue therein lies that our government is offering incentives and that actually we haven't got a strong enough deterrence in the first place. And actually, they maybe aren't even genuine asylum seekers, perhaps.
I mean, like you just said, you know, they actually risk their life again. So obviously, I mean, again, it's tried, you know, it's something that people keep saying, and we know it's true, that, you know, if someone would only risk their life, you know, in that way, or risk their life at sea, if basically it's safer than the land is for them. And that's the thing, you know, I mean, obviously, and again, I mean, the point is, why shouldn't we take a share of these people? So again, we're saying, you know, we're talking about Greece,
I think we've taken enough. I think we've taken more than enough. Our country's full. We haven't even got homes to house our homeless in this country.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. I mean, considering the numbers that there are, and considering the numbers, I mean, again, without going into, you know, the role that we actually play in creating these, us and our allies around the world, and the conflicts that we take part in. But just generally, when there are those conflicts around the world, there are millions of people who need safe havens. Of course, as a country, we need to be taking our share. And that's what it is. The simple point is that, you know, regardless of what the media says, politicians, others try to present, we take on a very, very small share, considering the huge numbers around the world. And again, you know, in terms of, well, they should go to the nearest safe country or go to neighboring countries, that is what they do. So the hugest, you know, the largest refugees, of course, it's not Europe, it's not the UK by any means, is it? So it's basically Turkey, it's Pakistan, it's so many other countries. Those are the countries that take on, you know, the lion's share of refugees. And it's very tiny numbers get to Europe, and much, much tinier they get to the UK. So I think, you know, we should be taking our share.
OK, thank you very much for joining me. Shoaib Khan, the human rights lawyer. I would like to bring in my panel, Benjamin Butterworth, Kelvin McKenzie and Leo Kearse. Let's have a look at the front page. A slight change of topic now, shall we? Let's lead on the Express. Go on, Leo, go on.
You know, he was claiming that, you know, other countries like Pakistan take way more refugees than we do. Pakistan and Iran are expelling millions of Afghan refugees right at this moment in a way that we seem incapable of doing.
I was in Afghanistan a couple of days ago, and there were endless buses full of Afghanis being taken from Iran into Afghanistan. 1 million in this year alone.
There you
Far
go.
more than Donald Trump can even manage.
Well, there you go.
They've ordered them all
maybe we should send Keir Starmer over there. He can learn about good deportation policy. But I don't know. I'm all for it. I think maybe to the public. That's the
best idea you've had.
I'm here all evening, guys. Right, let's get on to the Daily Express, shall we? So, Nigel Farage, a massive policy announcement today. 3 strikes and it's life in jail. Nigel Farage plans 3 strikes and you're out policy for repeat serious offenders as part of radical plans to cut crime in half. This has splashed over quite a few different papers today, Leo. Farage obviously seemingly wanting to lead on law and order stuff, because I think the feeling after that big poll that came, 50% of people said that they feel Britain is lawless.
Yeah, he's really sort of, coming out as the law and order leader. Much as Thatcher did. He's also making some sensible and brave and, unpalatable to some people statements about the rise in the pension age and stuff like that. So I think he's sort of imbued with the spirit of Margaret Thatcher. But yeah, he's said he wants beefier bobbies on the beat, and there's 3 strikes and it's life in jail. So this is really going to strike fear into the hearts of criminals, because Britain has a soft touch for so many people, and I think also deporting any foreign nationals who commit a crime would do so much to stop, just to encourage people to behave in the correct way.
Yeah, Kelvin, you've got Alligator Alcatraz in America, which fantastic name. I think that itself sells it to me. We are a weak country when it comes to this. I mean, I was reading about an alleged illegal migrant who's currently waiting for his asylum case. He's been deported twice before, and we can't deport him again.
No,
what's going on?
I think one of the tunes that Farage has really got into is the sense of that we aren't in charge of our country anymore. That there are people out there who are bad people, and they can get away with literally murder.
Yeah.
And we get fined because we overstay our car parking. And so that's the area that he's got into. It will be enormously successful for him politically. He's got in there ahead of the Conservatives. Labour can't really say it because most of the people carry out the crimes are their voters. So I think this is a good tune, and I hope he sticks with it and doesn't allow himself, as he has been just recently over tax issues, to be slightly derailed. So he's clocking into the sense. I'm sure that my best friend here will agree with me, that there is a societal aspect to, and a breakdown of how we feel. We don't feel safe.
Yeah, I just want to bring in this Daily Mail headline, Benjamin, because it's the same story, essentially. But, Britain is facing societal collapse are the words Nigel Farage has used. Lawlessness is taking hold very rapidly. And we see this sort of stuff from Epping was a prime example of that, Benjamin. He's right, isn't he?
Well, first of all, I don't think most Labour voters are the people going out and mugging people. I suspect the people mugging people don't vote for anyone. We can't be the woke middle classes and the muggers at the same time, Kelvin. Make your mind up. Look, Nigel Farage definitely picks up on the vein of public opinion. We're not facing societal collapse, but he knows full well that you have to make a statement that dramatic to get people's attention. Now, this idea of 3 strikes and you get life imprisonment, look, I don't believe if he became Prime Minister that would be feasible, because the sheer number of prison places, the fact it costs 40 grand a year for a prison place at present, it would actually be entirely unreasonable.
But he's going to talk about building these, just because this is an important part of that policy, he's talking about building these Nightingale hospital-style prisons, erecting them in 18 months, and then talking about 30,000 more places, I believe. I'll clarify that in a second, but something like 30,000 more prison places. Yeah.
But if you look at the evidence, America, the US, has the highest incarceration rate in the Western world, and it has much more lawless cities. You look at Scandinavia, they have much lower reoffending rates because they rehabilitate people. Now, it's not 3 strikes and life in prison I want. I'd quite like 1 strike and in prison. I think that would do more to fix the problem.
Yes, and isn't the reality, and this may not be a political reality, isn't the reality, you now appear in court and actually you will get quite a small jail sentence, and actually you're going to be out in 30 to 40% of that sentence. People don't want that. I know from my Twitter following that all they want to do is see people do 100% of the time that they get given by a judge.
Absolutely right. I do. I think people, once you've got a sentence, you should serve it, because I think you almost know inevitably they're going to get out early. All right, anyway, coming up, are tourists working people?
We've been really clear in our manifesto about the taxes that we won't increase. And we're not going to increase the taxes that working people pay, their income tax, their national insurance and their VAT.
Famous last words. We were clear on our manifesto. Not so sure about that. This is Patrick Christys tonight, late edition. See you after the break.
Good evening. It's time for your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, there will be some heavy rain across western parts of Scotland in particular. Elsewhere, a few bursts of showers, but also some dry weather to be had. Currently, low pressure firmly in control of our weather, which is why it's been quite an unsettled day, and it will stay in charge of our weather through the next couple of days as well. As I said, across western Scotland, that's where we're going to see the heaviest rain as we go overnight. Some high rainfall totals building up, perhaps as much as 70 millimetres in some places, so there could be some disruption. Also cloud and rain down the western side of England and Wales. Further east, some drier, clearer weather, but for all it is going to be a relatively warm night. Temperatures generally holding up in those mid-teens Celsius. As we start tomorrow then, across western areas, it's quite cloudy with some damp weather on offer. Though across parts of the southwest of England, some brighter spells. Sunnier though across eastern parts of England, and some brighter breaks developing across parts of Northern Ireland, but across much of Wales, northwest England and large chunks of Scotland, it's a cloudy, it's a damp start to the day, the exception being just towards the far east and northeast. Now, the heaviest rain across western Scotland, that will have started to ease by the time that we get to tomorrow morning. But nonetheless, some further wet weather is on offer as we go through much of the day, breaking up a little bit as we go into the afternoon. Elsewhere, it's quite a cloudy picture for many. Even in the east, after a bright sunny morning, it's going to turn cloudier with some showery bursts arriving. Because of the cloud, although temperatures on paper are similar to today, it's probably going to feel a little bit fresher for many of us. Looking ahead to Wednesday and eastern parts of England, perhaps even in the southeast, there could be some heavy bursts of rain pushing their way in. Elsewhere, a bit drier, but some showers around here and there. And then a drier theme as we go towards the end of the week. And with that, after a bit of a fresher feel during the middle part of the week, temperatures should rise again. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. I've got some really fun stories coming up here. One I just spotted, by the way. I'm going to come to it in just a moment, but let's start off with the Daily Telegraph. They're all at it again, aren't they? Angela Rayner demands tax on tourists. Deputy PM is apparently, again, at odds with Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, over policy that risks piling pressure on hospitality firms. You just can't make it up. Angela Rayner is clearly outlining her economic manifesto for leader of the Labour Party. That's very clear to me, in my opinion. These leaks to the Telegraph do not ever end, Leo.
Yeah, and Angela Rayner's vision for the economic leadership of the Labour Party is to destroy the economy.
Yeah, tax.
I thought they were going for growth. Instead, the only thing they're growing is taxes and the amount of legislation people have to wade through if you're running a business. And this isn't even going to be a progressive tax. It's not going to fall on the shoulders of the richest people. It's going to hurt the poorest tourists the most if you've got, you know, taxes on hotel rooms and things like this, and it's killing tourist hotspots. I can see it in the Edinburgh Fringe, you know, in Scotland, where they also have these horrible socialist politicians. They've introduced all these taxes so they can get more money to waste on their boondongles and corruption, and it's killing the Fringe because people can't afford to go there, and people, you know, there's so much tax that people don't bother letting out their flats, so it kills any fun that people can have.
Benjamin, Labour, the party of killing everyone's fun.
No, I don't think the problem of the cost of going to the Edinburgh Fringe is the £1 a night on your hotel room, quite frankly. I actually think...
But the tax is on, if you want to rent out a room, you've now got to jump through all these hoops, fill in all this paperwork, and then Your communist comes down and takes all your money off you.
Look, I actually think this makes a lot of sense, and I found it odd for a while that we don't have a tourism tax. I travel a lot, and basically everywhere...
How much did you pay when you travelled to Afghanistan? What was the tourist tax?
$750 for 6 days, great value.
That's a lot of money for Afghanistan.
I was there for Kabul Pride, all on a rooftop.
Yes, how were you treated? Did they know you were gay?
I'm what?
No, but
well, he doesn't go with his flag.
Serious thing.
They know now.
Oh, they know now, yeah.
But look, on the tourist tax, if you go to pretty much anywhere in Europe, certainly Italy, they have a local tax and it's on absolutely everywhere. It's €1, maybe €2, and it raises a lot of money from visitors. Now, if you've got the money to go on holiday, then you've got €1 or €2. We get huge amounts of tourism. I think something like 270 million hotel nights a year. I think that is a very fair way because people are coming from outside the country. They're spending money here, but they're bringing their money. £1 a night on that, I think, is a perfectly reasonable way to raise a bit of money for the Exchequer.
Kelvin, the real story here is there's another bust-up with Rachel Reeves. What Raina's doing, what the Telegraph are saying here, is she's aligning herself. She's like building her own little alliance with the mayors that are getting and have got a lot of power now. So she seems to be sort of, I would say she's lining herself up for a leadership bid, wouldn't you?
She's wasting her time. You're wasting her time. West Streeting will skate home if there was a vacancy. So she's obviously she's positioning herself. Most things she says are stupid. Actually, in this particular case, if we have a government who is not prepared to cut benefits for our country and not prepared to literally go through austerity, even although the people, the voters, are going through austerity thanks to their policies, then I am in favour of the tourists paying a tax rather than me paying a tax.
OK,
that's the reality.
Fair enough. I want to bring you this fun little story here that's caught my eye on the bottom of the front page of the Guardian today. Get this. It's happening again, everyone, but it happened, but you didn't know about it. It's Lord Allygate, but just a whole different group of different Prime Minister, different government. Tony Blair and Cherie Blair were advised by senior officials to pay back thousands of pounds they received in discounts on top designer clothing to avoid public scrutiny while he was Prime Minister. Newly released documents reveal. Well. They just can't stop getting their freebies, can they, Labour? It's just typical socialist for you, isn't it, Leo? They're telling you they want to raise taxes on you, but in the other hand, they're getting a few freebies to buy themselves designer suits, designer clothes.
Oh, yeah, everybody else gets taxed so much they can't even afford Primark, but they're getting all this free clubber from Lord Alley or whoever else, and there's no need for it. You can go to TK Maxx, get a fantastic jacket like this, fantastic shirt like this. You could go through the bins outside.
It's not Glasgow, come on. Benjamin?
Well, I mean, taxes were lower under Tony Blair than they have been ever since, so I don't think you should attack him for that. But actually, you know, politicians in Britain aren't paid crazy amounts of money like in America, and the cost of these outfits to be a world leader cost a lot. So I don't think it's unreasonable. And I might gently point out that Nigel Farage takes something like £1 million a year in private income to pay for his nice outfits. I think that's a bit more problematic.
It's different. He didn't get freebies for his clothes.
Yeah, but I don't think you want the Prime Minister to be doing a second job to pay for his suits.
I mean, I would hasten to guess that Nigel Farage wouldn't do any more second jobs if he was Prime Minister.
Well, not when you've had £1 million a year.
Well, OK, Kelvin, do you think that we should be paying for our leaders to dress smart?
It was a shocking piece of politics that they had, and they must have known when Starmer and co, when they took all those free clothes, they must have known that this would go down badly with the voters. Right. I mean, it makes sense.
David Cameron did the same thing, and now we know Tony Blair did it. I think this was just the way they funded the cost of looking the part.
OK, but they won't do it again, will they? Let's be honest about it. If either Farage or Badenoch or the more likely ones, the Greens, right, who could probably do with a decent pair of jeans, right? None of them are going to do it again.
Right.
It's quite wrong. It's something the public feel very angry about.
Let's not give them nightmares before they go to bed tonight thinking about a Green Party government. OK, right, coming up, does Ghislaine Maxwell believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Plus, Oasis concert goers allegedly pretending to be disabled. What is going on?
That's the best story of the night.
Right, OK, well, we're coming up to it very, very shortly. This is Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Stay with us.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun. Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there. It's hot and sunny across the vast majority of the Mediterranean at the moment. 1 or 2 showers in the north and fairly breezy across the Canary Islands and also Madeira. This northeasterly wind is bringing in a bit more in the way of cloud as well. Hot and sunny though for Iberia, most of Italy as well. Just 1 or 2 showers up towards Croatia and Slovenia. But for Greece and Turkey, hot and sunny, temperatures into the mid-30s. So do remember that sunscreen. And as we go through the next few days, it stays very similar.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys' late edition. Right, well, I've got some inside stories here for you. It's the stuff you haven't seen yet on the front pages. So the Times are reporting Jeffrey Epstein's long-term girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, does not believe he killed himself and fears she is at great risk in prison after the US Justice Department's concluded he did. Her brother has obviously told this to the Times. Ghislaine Maxwell's 63. She's serving a 20-year sentence at a federal jail in Florida and is the only person to have been charged and convicted over Epstein's vast sex trafficking ring. That's quite a shocking story that she... I mean, I think it's shocking that she's the only one that's been convicted so far, frankly.
Surely her conviction should be overturned now that apparently there's no Epstein list and there were no people being trafficked to anybody and, there weren't any clients. Why? What was she convicted over?
That's a really good point. Actually, I don't know, but I believe it was the vast sex trafficking ring, the big sex trafficking ring.
When do we get to see
she was a bad person. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Have you met her?
No, I've never met her, but she brought these women. She brought these girls in. She groomed them. She put them to Epstein, who then molested them. And she joined in on the molesting. Let's spend 10 seconds either believing a single word that she said, and she's damn lucky that she only got 20 years.
Ghislaine Maxwell obviously says that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, Benjamin. Do you believe her?
Well, I think everyone. I think that's blatantly obvious to everyone. I mean, what a remarkable coincidence. Now, there was a suggestion that the video that had been assessed had been amended so that, the proof that he had done it himself, the suggestions that was amended. Look,
Well, it disappeared, didn't it? There was no footage of it.
Well, I think the report, they said, was edited. Right. And so, I mean, of course he didn't kill himself. Of course it's something more suspicious than that. I don't think that's a great conspiracy. The whole thing stinks.
Yeah, it's a very, very odd story. And, of course, Donald Trump's been under a lot of pressure, Leo, to release the files, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's releasing MLK files instead to try and, he's like, I've got these other files you might like.
Wavy, look at this, look at this one, look at this one, look at that one.
He said he's releasing them and he's held up the binders, but, I mean, those binders might actually turn out to be empty, like the last ones did. But, yeah, I mean, if I was Ghislaine, then I'd be very worried. I mean, I hope the CCTV on her cell is running 24 hours. And that's not just because I want to hack into it and watch her sleeping for some reason.
Yeah, Kelvin, do you think that Donald Trump is... I mean, he's obviously had this massive split with his market base.
I think this whole thing is an issue for Trump. And it's clear that because his own side want this done. The trouble is in America, and we haven't really got it over here. You have to live in America to feel it, is that everything is a conspiracy over there. So the price of avocado is the price of eggs. They're all conspiracies, And so this will never go away, no matter how much is revealed. And it would be very unusual in the New York world that he lived in that he wouldn't have spent quite some time bumping in because they all go to the same dues.
OK.
That is the truth.
All right, let's do this other inside story for you here. The Times are also reporting a disabled Oasis fan has described the biblical moment when other concert goers using wheelchairs just stood up and danced amid fears that tickets for the accessible area had been resold to able-bodied fans. This is a shocking story, Benjamin, but also rather biblical. Scenes that I sometimes see from these on social media of these pastors in parts of the third world where miraculously people are walking again. Oasis have the same effect, Benjamin. It's a miracle.
I mean, look, on the one hand, it's awful because they've taken it from the disabled people it's there to help and is legitimate for.
They haven't taken them.
What, paid for them?
Somebody has sold them.
Someone's in a gold wheelchair somewhere.
Yeah. Correct.
I also can't help, especially as a Mancunian, find it pretty funny that they got the system. I feel like the Gallaghers would kind of be impressed by it. But, some of these things where you get the carer with you as a freebie, obviously legitimate for lots of people.
Yeah.
But I had a friend that got a free ticket to a festival because the person was disabled and he had diabetes. Now, I think...
Oh, that's so ridiculous,
and not debilitating diabetes. He's a prison officer, for God's sake. He's in great health. So I think it's pretty amazing the free tickets you can get as a supposed carer.
Very, very quickly from you, Leo. How many gigs have you had where people have done biblical miracles?
I've come out of some gigs with some cuts and bruises and broken bones. But no, this is ridiculous. As soon as you financially incentivise being disabled, you're going to get more disabled people. I'm sure there's, legitimate disabled people out there who want to go and see Oasis.
There's going to be such a clampdown on this.
Well, let's hope
There's going to be a load of good people now turned away from concerts, because nobody believes them.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to do your paper roundup for you. The Telegraph, of course, leading on. Rayner demanding tax on tourists. A big fallout with Reeves there. The Guardian, Israel launching offensive on Gaza aid hub amid fears over starvation. The Independent, retirement age at risk in tsunami of pensioner poverty. The Daily Mail, Britain is facing societal collapse, warns Nigel Farage. Of course, that's on his big policy announcement today. The Express, again leading with Farage, 3 strikes and it's life in jail. Metro, come on England, leading with the Lionesses there. The Eye, rise in state pension age beyond 68 is inevitable, warns Farage. The Mirror, end this horror show now. The Times, patients at risk during walkouts, warns BMA. Sun, wokes the story. There we go. That's your newspaper headlines for tomorrow. I can't wait to see you all again very soon. And stay tuned for, of course, more repeats tonight. We'll see you shortly.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. It's time for your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, there will be some heavy rain across western parts of Scotland in particular. Elsewhere, a few bursts of showers, but also some dry weather to be had. Currently, low pressure firmly in control of our weather, which is why it's been quite an unsettled day, and it will stay in charge of our weather through the next couple of days as well. As I said, across western Scotland, that's where we're going to see the heaviest rain as we go overnight. Some high rainfall totals building up, perhaps as much as 70 millimetres in some places, so there could be some disruption. Also cloud and rain down the western side of England and Wales. Further east, some drier, clearer weather, but for all it is going to be a relatively warm night. Temperatures generally holding up in those mid-teens Celsius.